Yeah, we've got the same again tomorrow. I held myself over it. There's also a
snowy, sunny, rainy house.
Do they do a 4/3? Is that one?
Particularly identified exactly what the vehicle is going to be doing. There's about 13 different potential roles for the Panther in the British Army. In one extreme it may end up replacing the old ferret, so it could be used for a little bit of reconnaissance work. At the other extreme it's an armoured Land Rover, so it could be used for liaison. If you're old enough, remember that was the sort of vehicle that the Action Man tank was. Small, aluminium, made by Elvis, very lightweight, with a 76mm gun turret on the top. Now the Scorpion family was developed a whole range of vehicles. There was Scorpion, there was Striker, there was Spartan, which was a version that was an armoured personnel carrier. There was Sultan, that was a command variant, so in the back you could set up a command post. Samson was a recovery missiles are fired. They call it a high-velocity missile, the Starstreak missile system that comes out there, because they go very, very fast. They're actually fired off at, they get up to Mach 3.5, so very, very fast indeed. The missiles, when they get near to the target aeroplane, they then actually break up, and there's three what they call sub-munitions inside the missiles. So they break into three parts, so that gives more of a chance of one of those three basically darts that are in there of hitting the target, and there's a small explosive charge at the back of the darts, so when they do hit the target there's a time delay fuse. Now the next member of the CVRT family, this one coming on now, this is Scimitar. Fires a very flat trajectory. In other words, when you fire this gun at a target, you point the gun at the target, you don't lift it up in the air and lob rounds over at the target. Very speedy on the ground, which made it an ideal reconnaissance vehicle. With reconnaissance, speed is very important. Driver in the vehicle, he sits in the front to the, as you're facing the vehicle, he's on the right-hand side. The engine is just next to him. And again, you can see the two other crew members up in the turret. You've got a gunner and a commander. Again, their role. Now, the next vehicle coming on from the serving army, this is the Warrior. Now again, an awful lot of people seeing anything with a turret on the top tend to call it a tank. Again, this is not a tank with this engine in it, because as with many armoured vehicles, during its production life, more armour's added, a new turret is being designed at the moment for the Warrior, and that adds weight to the vehicle all the time. And the great thing about Warrior, it's very well powered. It can get around the battlefield at quite a bit of speed, and it's got a tremendous braking system on it, as is demonstrating there. The vehicle needs to shoot up to the front line, deposit the soldiers from that powered door on the back there, and then be able to get out of trouble quick. Again, it's got that 30mm Raven cannon on the turret, and that actually gives, quite often they call these vehicles now IFVs, infantry fighting vehicles, so the soldiers can actually fight from the vehicles as well as just debussing, as it's called, from the back door and going forward and fighting on the front. Now, coming on, we've got a rather weird and wonderful looking vehicle. This is Trojan. And this is a vehicle that the Royal Engineers use to help the armoured formation forward. And that arm, you can see it's got a hydraulic crane there, that can lift that fascie, that's all those plastic drainage tubes, it can lift that forward, drop them in a hole or an anti-tank ditch. So this vehicle and the following vehicles can cross the anti-tank ditch. Offices there, but they were designed to replace a vehicle it's driving past now in the background. That's the old Chieftain Armoured Engineer vehicle. The Chieftain's very good, very serviceable, but they just... The next vehicle coming on, this weird and wonderful looking vehicle, again, not a tank. This is AS-90, which is the current British mobile artillery piece. That gun on the front there is what they call a 155mm gun, so again, size of the hole at the end of the barrel, 15.5 centimetres across. Even though there's a turret there, this is not the sort of vehicle that's going to be firing at armoured formation. So you've got, instead of having to wait for your artillery to come up so you can help proceed on your advance if you're an armoured formation, your artillery comes with you with AS-90. AS-90, it was first started being designed way back in the 1980s. We had a program that was failed. You can see there the elevation on the gun. By the way, if that gun fired, if they put what they call a full bag charge in behind it, this gun could shell Bournemouth. That's about 30,000 metres away, so you're looking about 30 kilometres. Different size bag charges, in other words, explosives. You put your 155mm round in the breech, and then you put bags of explosives, depending on how far you want that round, in the wrong fuel in the vehicle in the middle of the night. The other issue is diesel is slightly harder to set on fire than petrol, so its fire protection is better if you've got a diesel engine in. Charlie's main battle tank, the only main battle tank we have in service these days. This is Challenger 2 coming on now. Now Challenger 2 first went into service with the British Army way back in 1994. First unit that had it was the Royal Scottish Dragoon Guards. There was a lot of press at the time, some of you may remember, there was lots of rather snide remarks about Challenger 2, about it didn't work in the dust and various other things. The interesting thing is it's gone on to prove it's one of the best tanks in the world, if not the best at the moment. Just showing off there, it's puts its diesel fuel on the hot exhaust of the vehicle, and that creates that smoke screen. It means it can create its own smoke screen anyway. It doesn't actually have to fire off its smoke discharges. And again, you need a nice big thick smoke screen to hide yourself again if the enemy for the targets with his sight. He has a computer that he can dot on his screen where the target is, and the gunner who's sitting in front of him will then go to that target, do the final aiming of the gun and fire. And so the commander can be picking up a number of targets, putting them in the computer, and the commander can also override the gunner. If one target becomes more threatening, he can get the gunner to pick up that target sooner rather than later. It's a very, very effective system, and it makes the Challenger 2 as a tank killer probably the best one in the world at the moment. Challenger 2's got a 4-man crew, 3 of them in the turret. You've got the commander, the driver, and the commander, the loader, and the gunner. Still the gun is manually loaded, but in the future it looks like we're going to change the big 120mm gun we've got on this tank into what they call a smoothbore gun. It'll be the same size, 120mm, but as most of the other NATO armies use smoothbore ammunition, it means commonality of ammunition, means we don't have to go to the Belgians every time to buy our ammunition. So we can use any country's 120 ammunition as a smoothbore, and it'll probably have a semi-automated loading system.